The warehouse was dark, empty except for the hum of flickering lights and the distant patter of rain against the roof. Adora's wrists were bound tightly to a metal chair, rope biting into her skin until she could feel the warmth of blood trickling down her palms. A shadow moved in the darkness, someone she couldn't see, their face hidden in the gloom. "He can't save you," a voice whispered from the shadows. Familiar. Too familiar. Not this time. Terror clawed up her throat. "Please." A deafening crash shattered the moment. The metal doors exploded inward with brutal force. A figure appeared, tall, lethal, moving with predatory grace. As he stepped into the flickering light, Adora's heart stuttered. Ryu Ji-an. His sharp features were carved from stone, jaw tight with barely leashed violence. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath, dark, burning with a rage so absolute it could incinerate worlds. On his neck, the black phoenix tattoo seemed to pulse with life under the strobing lights, wings spread wide, rising from flames, a symbol of destruction and rebirth. His gaze found hers across the warehouse, and something passed between them, a promise written in blood and fury. Then his attention shifted to the shadows, and his voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried through the entire space like a death knell. "You're already dead. You just don't know it yet. But let's go back to where it all began." Welcome back to Afro Korean Obsession. Please like and subscribe for more. Months earlier, the elevator doors opened, and Adora Okonkwo stepped into what felt like another universe. HJ Group's executive floor was all glass and sharp angles, cold, pristine, suffocating in its perfection. The kind of place where mistakes weren't just noticed, they were remembered. Catalogued. Used against you. She'd prepared for this. Being a black woman in corporate Korea meant she'd prepared for everything: the stares, the whispers, the assumptions that she didn't belong. She'd heard it all before, in different languages, different countries. It never got easier, but she'd gotten stronger. "Mr. Ryu is expecting you," the assistant said, her smile tight with something that looked like pity. "He's particular." "So I've heard. Most new hires don't last a month." Adora raised an eyebrow. "I'm not most new hires." The assistant's smile flickered, surprise, maybe, or the beginning of respect. "His office is straight ahead. Good luck." She didn't need luck. She needed the job to be as advertised: challenging, high-paying, career-making. What she got instead was Ryu Ji-an. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, silhouetted against Seoul's skyline like he owned it. Which, she would learn later, he partially did. Tall, over 6 feet of coiled tension and controlled power. His suit was black, expensive, tailored so precisely it looked painted on. When he turned, Adora understood immediately why the assistant had offered condolences instead of congratulations. Sharp features. Jaw carved from marble. Eyes so dark they absorbed light. And there, stark against his neck, a black phoenix tattoo, wings spread wide in flight, rising from stylized flames, stretching from below his left ear across his throat to his right collarbone. Beautiful. Deadly. A warning dressed as art. He looked at her the way a predator assessed prey, one quick sweep, cataloging everything, dismissing most of it. "You're late." Adora checked her watch. 8:57, her start time was 9 o'clock. "I'm 3 minutes early. In my division, 15 minutes early is on time. On time is late." His voice was smooth, cold, utterly devoid of warmth. Late is unemployed. Any other person might have apologized. Adora had spent too many years apologizing for existing in spaces people thought she didn't deserve. "Then I'll adjust my watch." "Is there anything else, Mr. Ryu?" Something flickered in his expression, surprise, maybe, that she hadn't crumbled. His eyes lingered on her face a moment longer than necessary before he turned back to the window. "The Nakamura file is on your desk. Analysis by noon. Don't disappoint me." Dismissed. Like she was nothing. Adora walked to her desk with her spine straight and her blood boiling. She'd met men like him before, powerful, arrogant, convinced the world existed to serve them. They didn't intimidate her. They motivated her. The Nakamura file was a disaster. 300 pages of financial statements riddled with inconsistencies, buried debt, and what looked suspiciously like fraud. The previous analyst had signed off on everything. Either they were incompetent or complicit. Adora had it untangled by 11:30. She knocked on Ji-an's door at 11:45, a full 15 minutes before his deadline. Enter. He didn't look up from his laptop. Report. The Nakamura acquisition is compromised. Their CFO has been falsifying statements for at least 18 months. There's 2.3 billion won in hidden debt and an ongoing patent dispute that could result in litigation. She set her analysis on his desk. My recommendation is to terminate negotiations immediately. Now he looked up. Those dark eyes pinned her in place, reassessing. How long did this take you? 3 hours. My previous analyst had 2 weeks and found nothing. Your previous analyst wasn't me. The arrogance in her voice surprised even her. But she'd learned long ago that confidence was the only currency men like him respected. For a long moment, Ji-an just stared at her. Then the corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile, but close. Acceptable work, Miss Okonkwo. He pronounced her name perfectly. Every syllable precise, respectful. It caught her off guard. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't make me regret hiring you. I won't. She turned to leave, but his voice stopped her at the door. Miss Okonkwo. Yes. 15 minutes early tomorrow. It wasn't a request. But when she glanced back, she could have sworn she saw something like approval in his eyes. The first month was war. Not open conflict, nothing so simple. This was subtle, surgical, a battle of wills disguised as professional interactions. Ji-an found fault with everything. Her reports were too long. Then too short. Her analysis lacked creativity. Then it was too creative. Her coffee was too loud. Her heels were too loud. Her existence was apparently too loud. You breathe like you're being paid by the breath, he said one morning, passing her desk. Adora didn't look up from her screen. And you micromanage like you're being paid by the criticism. Must be exhausting. He stopped. Turned. Those dark eyes bore into her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. What did you say? I said. She finally looked up, meeting his gaze without flinching. Must be exhausting. Finding fault with everything. Do you ever just let things be adequate? Or does everything have to be perfect or worthless? The office went silent. People stopped typing. Stopped breathing. No one spoke to Ryu Ji-an like that. No one. Ji-an's expression was unreadable. The phoenix on his neck seemed to ripple as his jaw tightened. My office. Now. He walked away without waiting for a response. Adora stood, aware of every eye on her, and followed. The door closed behind her with a soft click that felt deafening. Sit. I'd rather stand. That wasn't a request. And I'm not a dog. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. He moved closer, and Adora had to fight the urge to step back. He was tall, taller than she'd realized, and this close, she could smell his cologne. Something dark and expensive that made her head swim. Do you know who I am? His voice was soft. Deadly. What I'm capable of. I know you're my boss. I know you're demanding. I know people are terrified of you. She lifted her chin. I'm not people. No. He studied her face like it was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You're not. The moment stretched. The air between them crackled with something she couldn't name. Tension, yes, but something else underneath. Something that made her pulse race and her breath catch. Then he stepped back, and the spell broke. Your analysis of the Tanaka merger. It was good. She blinked. What? Good. Not adequate. Not acceptable. Good. He returned to his desk, dismissing her with his posture if not his words. Don't let it go to your head. Was that a compliment? It was an observation. Don't make me regret it. Adora left his office more confused than when she'd entered. She'd expected to be fired. Instead, she felt like she'd passed some kind of test. She just wasn't sure what she'd won. So you're the one giving my brother gray hairs. Adora looked up from her lunch to find a man sliding into the seat across from her. Late 20s, handsome, with warm eyes and an easy smile that felt jarring in this building full of tension and sharp edges. Excuse me. Hyun J, Ji-an's younger brother. He extended his hand. I've heard a lot about you. From who? Everyone. You're kind of famous around here. The woman who talks back to Ryu Ji-an and lives to tell the tale. His smile widened. I had to see for myself. Adora shook his hand, guard firmly up. And what do you see? Someone interesting. He leaned back, studying her with open curiosity. My brother doesn't keep employees who challenge him. He definitely doesn't compliment them. You must be something special. Or he just hasn't gotten around to firing me yet. Hyun J laughed, genuine, warm. I like you. Most people around here are so scared of Ji-an they can barely form sentences. You're refreshing. I'm busy, actually. Adora returned to her lunch. Nice to meet you. She hoped he'd take the hint. He didn't. How are you finding Seoul? Must be a big adjustment, coming from Nigeria, then America, then here. That's quite a journey. It's been a life. Let me guess, you don't want to talk about it with a stranger. Got it in one. He smiled, unbothered by her coldness. Fair enough. But if you ever need anything, a restaurant recommendation, help navigating the office politics, someone to complain about my brother too, I'm around. Thanks, but I don't need help. Everyone needs help sometimes. He stood, still smiling. The offer stands. No strings attached. He walked away, and Adora watched him go with a frown. He seemed nice enough, the opposite of his brother in every way. But she hadn't gotten this far by trusting easy smiles and friendly words. She went back to her lunch and forgot about him entirely. Weeks passed. The war with Ji-an continued, but something was shifting. Their confrontations became less hostile, more charged. He still criticized her work, but now there was something almost playful in it. She still pushed back, but now she caught herself looking forward to their verbal sparring. Your report on the Chinese expansion is inadequate, he said one evening, dropping the file on her desk. It's thorough, well-researched, and ahead of schedule. It's missing the regulatory analysis, which wasn't part of the original scope. I'm adding it now. Then I'll add it tomorrow. You'll add it tonight. Adora looked up, ready to argue, and found him closer than expected. He'd braced one hand on her desk, leaning over her, and suddenly all she could see was the sharp line of his jaw, the intensity of his dark eyes, the phoenix tattoo stark against his pale skin. Is there a problem, Miss Okonkwo? No problem. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Just wondering if you have any hobbies besides making my life difficult. Several. His eyes dropped to her mouth for a fraction of a second. So fast she might have imagined it. This is just my favorite. He straightened and walked away, and Adora sat there with her heart pounding, trying to convince herself that the heat in her cheeks was anger. It wasn't. Hyun Jae started appearing more frequently. He'd show up in the break room when she was getting coffee. Stop by her desk with quick questions that turned into long conversations. Text her restaurant recommendations she hadn't asked for. At first, Adora brushed it off. He was friendly. Harmless. Ji-an's opposite in every way, warm where his brother was cold, open where Ji-an was guarded. You should try this place, he said one afternoon, showing her his phone. Best bibimbap in Seoul. I'm not really a foodie. Everyone's a foodie when the food is good enough. His smile was earnest. Come on, let me take you. My treat. Thanks, but I'm swamped with work. You're always swamped with work. My brother works you too hard. Your brother expects excellence. I respect that. Something flickered across Hyun Jae's face, gone too fast to identify. You respect him? I respect competence. Whatever else he is, he's competent. Whatever else he is. Hyun Jae's laugh was slightly off. That's one way to put it. Do you know what he does? Outside of this company. I've heard rumors. They're not rumors. His voice dropped. He's dangerous, Adora. More than you know. I can handle myself. I'm sure you can. He touched her arm, brief and light. I worry about you. Working so close to him. Adora stepped back slightly, creating distance. That's kind, but unnecessary. I'm fine. Are you? His eyes searched her face. You can talk to me, you know. About anything. I'm a good listener. I appreciate it, she said carefully, but I really need to get back to work. She returned to her desk feeling unsettled. Hyun Jae was nice. Too nice, maybe? There was something in his eyes when he looked at her, an intensity that didn't match his casual words. But she dismissed it as paranoia. He was just being friendly. Not everyone had ulterior motives, right? The first crack in her armor came during a thunderstorm. Adora was working late again when the power cut. Emergency lighting bathed everything in red, and somewhere in the darkness, she heard footsteps approaching. Miss Okonkwo. Ji-an's voice, low and close. Too close. She turned and found him inches away, his features shadowed and strange in the crimson light. The backup generators will kick in soon, he said. You should go home. I need to finish the Henderson report. It can wait. Since when do you tell me anything can wait? Since now. He didn't move. Neither did she. The darkness pressed around them, intimate and suffocating. You work too hard. That's rich, coming from you. I'm serious. So am I. She should step back. Create distance. But she didn't. Are you actually concerned about me, Mr. Ryu? Would that surprise you? Everything about you surprises me. The confession slipped out before she could stop it. In the red-tinged darkness, she saw his expression shift, surprise, then something else. Something heated. Adora. Her first name. He'd never used it before. The lights slammed back on. They sprang apart like they'd been burned. Ji-an's expression shuddered instantly, walls rebuilding so fast she almost believed she'd imagined the moment. Go home, he said, his voice clipped. Professional. That's an order. He walked away, and Adora stood there with her heart hammering, trying to understand what had almost happened. And why she was so disappointed it hadn't. She didn't tell anyone about the moment in the dark. Not that she had anyone to tell, except Hyun Jae, who seemed determined to be her friend whether she wanted one or not. You seem distracted lately, he observed during one of his increasingly frequent visits to her desk. Just busy. It's more than that. He perched on the edge of her desk, too comfortable, too close. Is Ji-an giving you trouble? No more than usual. You know, if he's being too hard on you, I could talk to him. I don't need you to fight my battles. I know you don't need me to. His smile was soft. I want to. Adora looked up, something prickling at the back of her mind. The way he was looking at her, it wasn't friendly. It was intent. Hyun Jae. I know. You're busy. He stood, but his hand brushed her shoulder as he moved. But I'm always here, Adora. Whenever you need me. He walked away, and Adora sat there with a sinking feeling in her stomach. She'd been so focused on Ji-an that she'd missed what was happening right in front of her. Hyun Jae didn't want to be her friend. He wanted something else entirely. Things with Ji-an escalated gradually, then all at once. It started with small moments. His hand brushing hers when passing documents. His eyes following her across the room during meetings. The way he'd find excuses to call her into his office, questions he could have emailed, clarifications he didn't need, requests that required her to stand close enough to smell his cologne. You're staring, she said one afternoon, catching him watching her from his office doorway. I'm observing. There's a difference? Staring is rude. Observing is professional. And which one makes my skin feel like it's on fire? The words were out before she could stop them. Ji-an's expression flickered, surprise, then heat, then something carefully controlled. Careful, Miss Okonkwo. His voice was low. Comments like that could be misinterpreted. By who? By me. He held her gaze for a long, charged moment. Then he turned and walked into his office, closing the door behind him. Adora spent the rest of the day unable to concentrate on anything but the look in his eyes. The gala was a mistake. HJ Group's annual charity event, black tie, champagne, Seoul's elite dressed in their finest. Adora wore a red dress she couldn't really afford, telling herself it was a professional investment. The way Ji-an looked at her when she walked in told her it was worth every one. Miss Okonkwo. His voice was strained. You look professional. Dangerous. She shouldn't have liked that. She did. They circled each other all night, never speaking directly, but always aware. Every time she looked up, his eyes were on her. Every time she laughed at someone's joke, his jaw tightened. It was a game. A dance. And Adora was starting to lose track of the steps. Your analyst cleans up nice, she overheard someone say to Ji-an. Exotic choice for the company. She froze. Ji-an's response was immediate. Brutal. He grabbed the man by his collar and slammed him against the wall so fast the room went silent. Say that again. His voice was deadly quiet. I dare you. I didn't mean. Her name is Adora Okonkwo. She has more intelligence in one finger than you have in your entire bloodline. And if you ever refer to her as exotic again, I will destroy your career so thoroughly your grandchildren will feel the shame. He released the man, who crumpled against the wall, and turned to find Adora watching. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ji-an crossed to her, took her hand, and led her onto the dance floor without a word. You didn't have to do that, she said as they swayed. Yes, I did. He's just an idiot. I've dealt with worse. You shouldn't have to deal with any of it. His hand tightened on her waist. Not while I'm here. Ji-an. I know. His jaw was tight. This is inappropriate. You work for me. There are 100 reasons we shouldn't. Shouldn't what? He looked at her then, really looked, all his walls down for just a moment, and she saw everything. The want. The restraint. The war he was fighting against himself. Dance with me, he said instead of answering. Just dance with me. So she did. And when the song ended, they stepped apart like nothing had happened. But something had. Something that couldn't be undone. Hyun Jae found her on the balcony later, catching her breath. Beautiful night, he said, joining her at the railing. I saw what happened. With Ji-an and that man. Adora tensed. It was nothing. Well, it didn't look like nothing. His voice was strange. Flat. He defended you. Publicly. Violently. He never does that for anyone. He was just being professional. That wasn't professional. Hyun Jae turned to face her, and there was something in his eyes that made her uneasy. He cares about you. More than he should. We work together. That's all. Is it? Hyun Jae. Because I see the way you look at him too. His voice cracked. Like he's something special. Like he's not a monster who's destroyed lives and built his empire on blood. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. He grabbed her wrist, not hard, but sudden enough to startle her. I've been so patient, Adora. So good. And you don't even see me. You look right through me to see him. She pulled her wrist free, heart pounding. I think you've had too much champagne. I'm not drunk. I'm seeing clearly for the first time. His expression shifted from hurt to something harder. Something darker. You're making a mistake. Choosing him over me. I haven't chosen anyone. There's nothing to choose. Keep telling yourself that. He stepped back, his smile not reaching his eyes. But remember this moment, Adora. Remember that I tried to warn you. He walked away, and Adora stood there in the cold night air, suddenly realizing how badly she'd underestimated the danger right in front of her. After the gala, everything changed. Ji-an became distant. Professional. He stopped calling her into his office for unnecessary meetings, stopped finding excuses to stand close to her, stopped looking at her like she was something he wanted but couldn't have. It should have been a relief. It wasn't. Did I do something wrong? She asked one evening, catching him alone. No. Then why are you avoiding me? I'm not avoiding you. I'm maintaining appropriate boundaries. Since when do you care about appropriate? His jaw tightened. Since I realized I was about to make a mistake I couldn't take back. What mistake? You. He finally looked at her, and his eyes were anguished. You're the mistake, Adora. The way I feel about you, it's dangerous. For both of us. Maybe I don't care about danger. You should. He moved closer, and she felt the heat of him even through the space between them. Do you know what I am? What I've done? I've heard rumors. They're not rumors. His voice dropped. The Black Phoenix Syndicate. I built it. I run it. I've killed people with my own hands, not in passion, but calculated. Necessary. I'm not a good man, Adora. I'm not even close. And yet here you are. Warning me away for my own protection. Because you deserve better than what I can offer. What if I don't want better? She stepped closer, eliminating the distance he'd created. What if I want this? Want you? Knowing exactly what you are. Then you're as foolish as you are brilliant. Maybe. She was close enough now to see the rapid pulse at his throat, the way his hands clenched at his sides. Or maybe I'm brave enough to want something real, even if it's dangerous. Adora. Her name was a warning and a plea. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me I'm imagining it, and I'll walk away right now. He was silent. The moment stretched. Then, I can't. Can't what? Tell you you're imagining it. He reached up, his fingers brushing her jaw with devastating gentleness. Because you're not. God help me, you're not. And finally, he kissed her. The kiss was everything and nothing like she'd imagined. Not gentle. Not tentative. It was desperate, claiming, months of tension exploding into something that threatened to consume them both. His hands gripped her waist, pulling her against him, and she fisted his shirt like he might disappear if she let go. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. This is a bad idea, he murmured. Probably. You deserve someone uncomplicated. Someone who can give you a normal life. I've never wanted normal. What do you want? You. She pulled back to look at him. Just you. Whatever that means. Something cracked in his expression. The walls he'd spent years building, crumbling. You have me, he said. God help us both, you have me. They kept it secret. Had to, she was still his employee, and his world was too dangerous for public declarations. But everything felt different now. Charged. Alive. Stolen moments in his office. Late nights where work turned into something else entirely. The way he'd look at her across conference rooms, a private smile playing at his lips. People are going to notice, she said one night, tangled with him on his office couch. Let them. You don't mean that. I do. He traced patterns on her skin. I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending you don't matter. Ji-an. Move in with me. She sat up, staring. What? Move in with me. Leave your apartment. Stay with me. His expression was serious. I want you where I can protect you. Where I can wake up next to you every morning and know you're safe. That's a big step. I know. He sat up too, taking her face in his hands. But I'm done with small steps. I want everything, Adora. All of you. Every day for the rest of my life. You're not going to say you love me? I'm going to show you. Every single day. Until you never doubt it. She kissed him instead of answering. That was answer enough. She never noticed how Hyun Jae was unraveling. He'd stopped approaching her at work, stopped with the coffee deliveries and restaurant recommendations. She thought he'd finally understood. Moved on. She was wrong. Hyun Jae hadn't moved on. He descended. In his apartment, walls covered with photos of her. Candid shots he'd taken without her knowledge. Her laughing. Her working. Her with Ji-an, though those were crumpled, torn, destroyed. He'd been so patient. Done everything right. And she'd chosen the monster anyway. The unfairness of it burned like acid. If she wouldn't choose him, he'd make sure she regretted her choice. He'd show her exactly what kind of man she'd given herself to. He made a call. The Black Phoenix has a weakness, he said to the man on the other end. And I know exactly how to exploit it. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. Adora was working late, finishing a report, when the office lights flickered. She looked up, frowning. Hello. Footsteps. Then a voice she'd learned to dread. Working late again? Hyun Jae emerged from the shadows, and Adora's blood ran cold. Something was wrong. His smile was too wide, his eyes too bright, his whole demeanor vibrating with an energy that felt dangerous. What are you doing here? I came to talk. He moved closer, and she stood, putting the desk between them. We never finished our conversation. From the gala. There's nothing to finish. But there is. He kept coming, circling the desk like a predator. You see, I've figured it out. Why you chose him over me. Hyun Jae, I never. Don't lie. The words snapped out, sharp and vicious. I saw you together. Weeks ago. In his office. The way you kissed him. The way you let him touch you. Horror crawled up her spine. You were watching? I've always been watching. His smile twisted. You just never noticed. Too busy looking at him to see what was right in front of you. I never led you on. You smiled at me. Laughed with me. Took my coffee, my time, my heart. His voice cracked. And the whole time, you were thinking about him. The killer. The monster. The man who doesn't deserve you. Hyun Jae, please. You need help. I don't need help. He slammed his hand on the desk, making her jump. I need you to understand. To see what a mistake you've made. What are you going to do? His smile returned cold, terrible. I'm going to show you what choosing him costs. He moved faster than she expected. Before she could scream, he pressed a cloth over her face. Chemical sweet. Burning. The world went dark. When Adora woke, she was bound to a chair in darkness. The warehouse. She could smell rust, old concrete, stagnant water. Flickering lights overhead. Rain pattering on the roof. And Hyun Jae, pacing in front of her like a caged animal. You're awake. He crouched before her, and the man she'd thought she knew was gone. In his place was something hollow. Desperate. Broken. Good. I need you to understand. Understand what? Her voice was hoarse. Why this is happening? It's not my fault, Adora. It's yours. You made me do this. I didn't make you do anything. You made me love you. The words exploded from him. Every smile. Every laugh. Every moment you let me be close to you. I thought it meant something. I thought eventually you'd see. Hyun Jae, I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong impression, but I never. Don't. His voice went flat. Deadly. Don't apologize. Don't try to manage me. I'm done being managed. He stood, pulling out his phone. I've contacted some friends. Business rivals of my brother. They've wanted an opening against the Black Phoenix for years. His smile was cruel. I just gave them one. What are you going to do? When Ji-an comes for you, and he will, because you've made him weak, they'll be waiting. And you'll watch him die knowing it's your fault. That your love destroyed him. No. It's already done. He showed her the phone screen. A photo of her, bound and terrified. He should be receiving this, right about now. Ji-an was in his office when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then he opened the message and his world went red. Adora. Bound. Bleeding. Terrified. And a message, come alone. 1 hour. Or she dies screaming. The rage that consumed him was absolute. Glacial. World-ending. He made 3 calls in 90 seconds. Assemble everyone. Full tactical. Now. Track this number. Confirm location. Tell Kim's crew that whatever my brother promised, I'll triple. If they're still at that warehouse when I arrive, none of them leave alive. He checked his weapons. Gun. Knife. Backup piece. The movements were automatic, muscle memory taking over while his mind focused on one thing. Getting her back. And making everyone responsible beg for death. The warehouse door exploded inward. Ji-an stood in the entrance, backlit by security lights, the
dead.
phoenix on his neck stark against his skin. He looked like vengeance given form. Brother. Hyun Jae's voice was manic. You came. How romantic. Let her go. Or what? Hyun Jae pressed a gun to Adora's temple and Ji-an froze. You'll kill me? Your own brother. Without hesitation. Liar. You're not capable of. I'm capable of anything when it comes to her. Ji-an's voice was ice and fire combined. You have 3 seconds to remove that gun from her head. Then I stop asking. You won't risk it. One twitch and she's dead. You won't pull that trigger. How do you know? Because you think you love her. Ji-an stepped forward, and even the armed men around him shifted nervously. You've convinced yourself this is love, the obsession, the stalking, the kidnapping. In your twisted mind, she belongs to you. You won't destroy what you think is yours. Don't pretend you understand me. I understand you perfectly. You're weak. You've always been weak. Another step. You wanted what I had, the power, the respect, the empire. And when you couldn't have that, you wanted her. Because taking her from me was the only way you'd ever win anything. Hyun Jae's hand trembled. Shut up. But here's what you never understood, brother. Ji-an was close now. Too close for safety. His eyes never left Hyun Jae's. I don't lose. Ever. And I especially don't lose her. He moved. It happened so fast Adora barely tracked it. One moment Ji-an was standing still, the next, he'd knocked the gun away, his fist connecting with Hyun Jae's jaw with a crack that echoed through the warehouse. Chaos erupted. Ji-an's men poured through side doors, engaging Kim's crew. Gunfire. Shouting. The sound of bodies hitting concrete. But Ji-an ignored all of it. His focus was singular, absolute. Hyun Jae, scrambling backward, blood streaming from his mouth. "She was supposed to love me," Hyun Jae gasped. "I did everything right. You did everything wrong." Ji-an stood over him, and there was no mercy in his expression. Only cold, terrible judgment. "You treated her like a prize to be won. Like something you deserved because you wanted it badly enough. That's not love. That's entitlement. I would have made her happy. You would have suffocated her. Controlled her. Destroyed everything that makes her extraordinary." Ji-an crouched down, grabbing his brother's collar. "She doesn't need someone safe. She needs someone who sees her, really sees her, and loves her for exactly who she is. You never saw her. You only saw what you wanted her to be. And you see her?" Hyun Jae laughed bitterly. "The killer? The monster?" "Yes." Ji-an's voice softened, just slightly. "I see her. Every brilliant, stubborn, fearless part of her. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life being worthy of what she sees in me." He released Hyun Jae, letting him crumple to the ground. "Get him out of my sight," he told his men. "He leaves the country tonight. New identity. New continent. If he ever comes back, if he ever tries to contact her, put him in the ground." Then he was moving toward Adora, pulling a knife from his belt, cutting through the ropes with hands that shook, the only sign of how terrified he'd been. "Are you hurt?" His voice was rough. Desperate. "I'm okay." But tears were streaming down her face. "You came. I'll always come." He pulled her against his chest, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "Always. Do you understand? There's nowhere they could take you that I wouldn't find you. Nothing they could do that would stop me. I was so scared." I know. He pulled back, cupping her face in his blood-stained hands, his eyes searching hers. "It's over now. He's gone. You're safe. Because of you. Because you're mine." He pressed his forehead to hers. "And I protect what's mine." Around them, the warehouse was being secured. Kim's men were fleeing or falling. Hyun Jae was being dragged away, still screaming protests that no one listened to. But in the center of all that chaos, there was only them. Two people who'd found each other against impossible odds, holding on like the world might end if they let go. "Take me home," Adora whispered. "Anywhere." Ji-an kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. "Anywhere you want. For the rest of our lives." The penthouse was quiet. Seoul glittered beyond the windows, oblivious to the violence that had unfolded in its shadows. Ji-an hadn't let go of her since the warehouse. In the car, his hand had gripped hers like a lifeline. In the elevator, he'd pulled her against his side. Now, in his apartment, he held her on the couch like she might disappear if he blinked. "I thought I'd lost you." His voice was raw in a way she'd never heard. "When I saw that photo, I thought. But you didn't. I could have." He pulled back to look at her, and his eyes were haunted. "My world did this. My brother. My enemies. Being with me almost got you killed. Being without you would have killed me slower. Adora. I'm serious." She took his face in her hands, forcing him to meet her eyes. "I knew what you were when I chose this. I knew the danger, the darkness, all of it. And I chose you anyway. I'm still choosing you. Right now. Tomorrow. Every day after that." "Why?" The word was barely a whisper. "I've done terrible things. I'll do more." "Why would you?" "Because underneath all of that, you're the man who defended me in front of everyone. Who learned how I take my coffee without asking. Who looked at me like I was worth something when the rest of the world saw a woman who didn't belong." Her voice cracked. "You made me feel seen, Ji-an. Really seen. Do you know how rare that is? How precious. You see me too." His hand covered hers on his face. "The parts one hide from everyone else. The parts I'm ashamed of. You see all of it and you stay. I'll always stay. Promise me." "I promise." He kissed her then, soft, desperate, full of everything he couldn't put into words. When they broke apart, he pulled her back against his chest, his arms wrapped around her like armor. "No more secrets," he murmured against her hair. "No more hiding. I want everyone to know you're mine. And you're mine. Yours." The word was a vow. Completely. Irrevocably. Yours. They sat there as dawn broke over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. The phoenix on his neck caught the light, wings spread, rising from flames. A symbol of destruction and rebirth. Of surviving impossible things and finding beauty in the ashes. Adora traced the tattoo with gentle fingers. Does it mean something? The phoenix. Survival. Transformation. Rising from ashes when everything's been destroyed. He pressed a kiss to her temple. "I got it when I was 21. After I'd rebuilt everything I'd lost. A reminder that I could survive anything. And now? Now it means something else." "What?" He pulled back to look at her, and his expression was soft in a way she'd never seen, open, vulnerable, entirely hers. "You," he said simply. "It means you. Because you set me on fire, Adora. Everything I was, everything I thought I wanted, you burned it all down. And what rose from those ashes?" He shook his head slightly, almost disbelieving. "It's better. Stronger. More human than I've been in years. Ji-an. I love you." The words came out like they'd been waiting years to escape. "I love you, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me." Tears blurred her vision. "I love you too." He smiled, a real smile, rare and beautiful, and pulled her close. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Forever. Promise?" "Promise." Outside, the sun continued to rise, flooding the penthouse with golden light. Inside, two people who'd found each other through fire and fury held on tight. The Mafia boss and the woman who'd claimed him. The phoenix and the fire that set him free. They'd survived the darkness. Now they'd build something new in the light. Together. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.